Oh, so here we are. It's Thursday for a change, and we're actually broadcasting at the same time as the Battle Fever podcast, I believe. So hopefully we'll steal some of their viewers, Stuart. It's the Rangers AF podcast. Joining me tonight, I've got none other than Stuart Weir. Good evening, Stuart. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Yes, all the better for being here in first in the queue tonight to join you. Unlike some I could mention.
I know, lazy bastard. Wasp was going to be late because he decided he was going to leave his house and go for a really long walk, and he's still not found his way back. So hopefully, hopefully, the police drop him off safe and sound in a bit.
Aye. He
And
was
we can
reading
join
that. He
him.
was reading that book about Captain Oates the other night. There, maybe it's giving him ideas.
Maybe. He might find some treasure. He is in Fife after all.
I don't
But
know that.
anyway,
Whereabouts in Fife is he?
he's that's a good question, and
We'll
I
ask
should know
him
this.
if
I
he
know
ever
this because
appears. We'll ask him.
I've been to his fucking house as well. I can't mind where it is. I'm too tired, Stuart. I'm running on the
That's,
fumes of love.
that's basically just like Fife in general.
It's like a big Doug's heat. You know the one over the fucking Firth of Forth. That one. That's it.
Aye.
You fucking live somewhere there. So I mean, we've got a lot to get through, obviously, but it's been a while since we've been on, mostly because of Wasp's fault, to be fair. So he's been lost most of the past 2 weeks. But let's talk about Rangers.
I thought you were. I thought you were away. I thought
I
it
went
was
to
you.
France, but that's a minor detail.
All right, okay, all right. I
So
wouldn't hold that against you.
I'm just shirking responsibility here, and it's working so far. Don't spoil it.
Okay, back to the main topic.
Right, let's do that. So Rangers got back to winning ways at the weekend after a wee blip against over the City rivals. We'll not talk about that. But one thing that obviously we did was fool you into a false sense of security, right? So we scored early for a change, and wasn't that a fucking riot? And then the next 85 minutes was obviously absolute terror and a graft. But, it's another clean sheet. And Igmani was obviously the talk of the town, but we'll talk about him shortly. But Rangers, Stuart, if you need to be reminded, lined up with Butland, Tav, Proper, Suter, Yefte, Diamande, Dowell, Cortez, Barron, and Dessers. And normally I would go to Wasp and say, how much fear did the lineup give you, Wasp? But as he's absent, Stuart, would you like to take that mantle?
I think it was. I think as soon as the lineup came out, there was obviously a bit of debate about why certain players were in, why others had been overlooked or omitted, and it was almost as if we were finding out Clement's preferred starting 11. I think it was an element of that. It's becoming more apparent that there are players there that he's going to call upon time and time again. Probably because there's not anybody else. But I think it was. I couldn't see. I couldn't see too many surprises. And once they started brightly. But it was age old. I've written it a few times. Rangers started brightly and then deteriorated, and I think it was just once they got a goal in front, for a change, they got a goal in front and actually looked pretty comfortable holding on to that one goal. Now, that I would have to say was entirely down to the quality of the opposition, which, they might have huffed and puffed before the game about what they were going to do. They didn't do any of it in the game. And no. I thought, for me, the kind of telling thing was, here you had a team that started arguably better this season than Rangers, who just didn't lay a glove in Rangers. And you're looking at a Rangers team that many of us could pick faults with, who really got the job done. I know 1-0, you would take 1-0 before the game started. You would certainly take 1-0 in the 90th minute after hung on for nearly the entire match. But the fact is that it was stop-start, a bit inconsistent, and I think if the opposition had been a bit better, it might have caused Rangers a few more problems, but you take it.
You do, absolutely. And, coming back to a point there regards the quality of the opposition, Dundee United registered 0 shots on target the entire game, which is pretty much the standout stat for me. And they had some very good chances. Obviously, there was There was the one that took a deflection where the winger cut inside and hit across goal, and that was very close. But and I think there was like a header went close as well. But first and foremost, we managed to control the game, and I'm sort of saying that through gritty teeth because, like you say, if the quality of opposition had been better, I think we would have come away with a draw or worse. Depending.
But they almost had an exclusion zone. I thought the United played up to a point, and then you were aware of Rangers actually kind of stopping them and disrupting what they were actually trying to do. Yeah. I thought they did that part of it. If anything in the entire game, apart from the win and the 3 points and a clean sheet, I would say that's probably the one thing you would take from the game was that Rangers actually most of the time looked as if they knew what they were doing regarding the press and regarding closing the opposition down and not giving them any time. And as you say, not registering a shot on target against that Rangers team is quite remarkable.
Aye, and I think as well, Stuart, it's promising that John Souttar is starting to go on a roll of consistency of very, very solid games at the moment. Obviously, despite the big one, but that's certainly encouraging. And like you say, it does look a lot like we're finding a shape and dare I say a system now, which is something that we've been crying out for on that.
I think the simplicity of the system actually might be why it's working. If you see what I mean, it's not too complicated. It's getting back to almost do the basics and do them really, really well, and you'll get something out of the game. I mean, I know I'll go back and refer to certain things at times. Graham Souness, in his first couple of weeks at Rangers, said football was really easy. Keep a clean sheet, score a goal, and you take the points. And that philosophy, doesn't always give you sparkling performances, but by God, it gives you half a chance.
Of course, and as well, it's one of those things where if you can win dirty and come away 1-0, then that's kind of the formula for a championship winning team, a winning side, so to speak. But just want to say good evening to Stevie and Maggie, by the way. Maggie, who is now recovering at home and is apparently behaving, would you believe? And she made her way out to the garden by herself today, which was a massive thing. So congratulations on that, and I hope you're keeping it.
Did you find Wasp there? He was still on his sponsored walk, was he?
No, well, I think they might have helped him back on his way, or maybe just tell him to get the fuck out of the garden. That's what I'd have done anyway.
No, that was the last court case.
No, exactly that.
That was that exclusion order I spoke about.
Aye, but the Tom Lawrence goal, right? Thing of beauty. I mean, the thing that kind of stuck out for me for this, Stuart, was it was a great example of one-touch passing whilst obviously moving in the transition, something that we've been crying out for. I don't think we've done it since 2007. And it started off with a ball for Cortez to Dessers to Lawrence, and then Lawrence, who pulled off a neat wee bit of skill to take it past two defenders, and then he scoops it over the goalie. It was absolutely fantastic. And obviously you think it's going to go wild from there. But in true Rangers
fashion, no. Just cool your jets. Right, okay. The goal was a good goal. And I would like to know amongst the sort of viewers and listeners, or it'd be even better if there was some sort of reactive television stats you could call upon. I would really like to know how many people shouted with some sort of synchronization. That's what you're supposed to be doing. See, you can do it. You can do it when you want to. You can do it when you try. Just do it more often. Exactly. And I think that was a genuine example of what he's capable of.
Yeah, 100%. He's certainly somebody with ability, and I think as well, to be fair, his kind of half chance that he had in the second half was also decent. Because he uses the player to get the ball forward. He has a wee bit of luck with it because he's obviously trying to nutmeg him, but I think obviously it falls in his favour, and he's only got to finish it. But he goes too complicated. I think he's trying to lift it into the roof of the net. But he's certainly somebody that when he's on his game, he's promising. But we need more of it and longer.
Correct, and you need the element of consistency where when he gets those chances, you've got half a chance that he's actually going to convert it or make something of it. as opposed to it just breaking down and suddenly the camera panning onto him with his hands in his hips, not understanding what he just did.
Aye, no, agreed. So let's talk a wee bit about the yellow card incident. You might recall a guy called Adeboyega slides in on Conor Barron. There was a lot of outcry regards it, folks saying that it should have been a straight red, etc., etc. I mean, I've seen it a few times now, and I think yellow card's the right decision. And the reason I say that is because he's out of control, but there's
You're out of control.
No, I'm telling you, there's minimal contact. So I think the safety of the opponent is kind of all right at that moment in time, and I think that's why it's a yellow card and no a red. That would be my kind of opinion on it. But at the same time, it is excessive force, right? So you could argue that actually, do you know what? Maybe it's an orange.
Stick to your first answer. I'll agree with you if you stick to the first answer. Listen, I get why people get upset at decisions.
Yeah,
I've got a very simple test. If that was your player that did that, would you expect it to be yellow or red? And you would probably say yellow.
Yeah,
and that's a pretty good gauge to my mind. I thought, you could have made a case for it. The whole thing with the referee decisions just now is like, oh, look at that decision in that game, and now look at that decision in that game, and it hasn't worked in our favour, therefore it's wrong.
Yeah,
there's nothing you can do about what's happening in other games.
No, you can't, and you can't even use those decisions as yardsticks as well, Stuart. That's the thing that gets me. It's like they're completely different scenarios. Whilst like the kind of flow of the play may be similar and the outcomes the same, it's a different set of factors that lead to that particular decision. So it's a kind of moot point, if you like.
Aye, I would agree with you. And another thing I would say, and I will always say, is if you're getting that desperate to appeal against refereeing decisions in a match that's taking place 24 hours before your game and 100 miles away from where you actually are, you're clutching at straws a wee bit. Just concentrating on football, what your team does, and you might be a lot happier.
Just exactly that. Aye, exactly. So that's that. But so obviously, so Dessers has another chance before the half set. I mean, there's a couple of these. I mean, these things is fucking really annoy me where the players find themselves in these brilliant positions, but they decide to side foot it or just blow on the ball to see if it goes over the net. I don't know why they do that. Why do they not just leather it, Stuart?
It's almost like some of them have been possessed by Uri Geller, and they're trying to develop some kind of force field to push the ball towards the goal, stop all the resistance in the grass, in the air, and all that. Just let me see if I can fix my mind on it to transport this ball over the line. You're right. Stick your laces through it. I think people look at the strikers and think, oh, he was brilliant. I reckon Ali McCoy scored 355 goals for Rangers, taking 1/5 of the chances that were presented to him.
100%, and that's the difference, right?
And I think if you look, go back to the same sort of generation, I think the likes of Morris Johnson and Kevin Drinkle at that time, their strike rate was far superior with fewer chances and the goals that they scored and the opportunities that they took. So, listen, you could make the argument, as long as he's in the right place and he's trying it and he's getting on the end of these things, the goals will come.
Yeah.
The bit of that sort of equation that's not quite working is the goals will come because he's getting, I see the arguments, and it's the old lies, damn lies and statistics. He scored 19 goals last season. How many would have scored if he'd actually taken most of the simple chances that were presented to him?
Yeah.
I reckon he'd have been well into his 30s, and that is a failing. It might come good, but I honestly think that Rangers might be back into the transfer market looking for somebody else before he actually gets a chance to score more than one goal in a game.
Agreed. And, he's only scored 3 goals so far this season. Obviously had a wee hot streak at the start and that's kind of died down. And, obviously, fair play, he got the assist for Lawrence's goal. But like you say, we need more consistency. We need better chance conversion to kind of be convinced on that front. And hopefully that'll come, though, with the introduction of Igmani, who we'll talk about in a second.
Not all teams need a striker who's banging in 25 goals a season. However, it does help you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams over the years who have been hugely successful, and you've got guys who their top scorer, I mean, Rangers were such a case. I think Kevin Drinkle won the Golden Boot one year with 13 goals or something like that.
Oof.
You know what I mean? It was like you had McCoy, Johnson, I think Mark Walters was in there as well, all scored about 12 goals. And I think Kevin get 13. And it was like, oh, we need a goal scorer. But that's 48 goals those guys have contributed. And I think if the problem is, if you don't have a focal point scoring the goals for you, it puts pressure elsewhere, and then other people's deficiencies are picked upon.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. And, I would like to see goals coming from other areas of the park because we're severely lacking in that in the minute. And it doesn't look like we're going to have it either. Do you know what I mean? But again, that, coming back to your point regards the simplicity of the system, maybe that's a mitigating factor. I don't know.
It's very... Listen, I think over the years, at certain times, and this applies to every club, you are spoilt by the players you have in your ranks because it's not until you don't have them or look back at them, you suddenly realise how good they were.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably applies more to Rangers than most clubs. If you look at the goals, the contributions that came from midfield players over the years, be it Alberts or Van Bronckhorst or, other guy, back like a couple of seasons, Barry Ferguson was phenomenal. I mean, he's influence in that Rangers team and the goals he scored was comparable with anything that Frank Lampard was doing at Chelsea. Given his importance to the team. I'm not saying the two of them are the same or playing in the same league. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying his importance to that team at that time. And then a phenomenal strike rate, a fantastic record, scoring goals from all over the place. But I think ultimately most teams and clubs would want somebody who is your traditional number 9 and who will get on the end of things and score goals, if only to give everybody a lift that you've got somebody there that you can celebrate.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, hopefully that does come. So let's talk a wee bit about Igmani then, Stuart. I feel like, obviously we only saw a wee bit of him, but I feel like he's somebody who is showing some really promising signs. And what I mean about that is, he's no scared to carry the ball, and he looks like he can carry the ball convincingly, but also he can break the lines with some actual good decisions for a change. And it's, we talked about this a few weeks ago when, Sterling comes on the park. He looks good because he's miles ahead of everybody else in quality. And I think, Igmani's kind of got that shine about him as well. And I would hope that is going to reflect better on our performances, given the fact that we're coming into the European season now as well. What was your thoughts?
Listen, I think, and I cannot be alone in this one. I just think other teams buy players and stick them straight into their first team, and you go, oh, he's good. Where at Rangers, they seem to come off a long run up. You know what I mean? It's like, and once you don't get injured on the way up, to it just seems to take an eternity for people to come to, if you like, match sharpness.
Yeah.
Why is that? I mean, I have no idea. Is it a lack of confidence? Is it a lack of security? Is it, destruction testing these people to make sure they just don't break down the first time the wind blows on them? I don't know what it is. I just think I'd like to see a bit more conviction and be a bit more convincing in terms of the guys that you sign and the guys that you think will play a part to get stuck in there right away. They're not going to suddenly go training for 6 weeks and play a couple of bounce games and suddenly go in match sharp. There's
No.
well getting the best out of them and getting their match fitness and match sharpness actually in a real contest than wait to see how they do.
Yeah, and you know, Stuart, it's like the thing that annoys me the most about it is, you know, coming back to what you're saying about non-destructive testing and stuff like that. You know, maybe it is like they go through like a really heavy maintenance program. Do you know what I mean? They have their like, you know, the depth of their skin checked and shit like that. You know, it takes a wee while.
A
100
spanner check.
X-rays.
A
100.
spanner check on a torque wrench. Come here, you.
Hang on to that.
Aye. He's like, oh, that needs a bit of WD-40 on it. Come on. It was I've never really got it when
No.
Clement, and he seems to be more guilty of it than anybody I've ever experienced before.
Yeah.
You know, I remember players coming in and you knew, well, he hasn't really had a game because he really is a fringe player. And you got other guys building like maybe not far wrong in that. Aye, but you see what I mean? It's almost like they're, rather than pitch them in, is it to do with their own self-belief and their own confidence that you don't want them to suddenly be confronted with 50,000 people shouting, "Get him off, he's shite." You know, that could be part of it. But at some point, you've got to throw a punch and let's see what they're about.
And you just say, Stuart, didn't you? You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be noisy, but just do your best. They'll love you if you do your best. You know what I mean? Away you go, son. Go make an impact. It's not hard. And like you say,
I remember Neil Murray.
10 minutes, you know.
Neil Murray suddenly emerged in the Rangers team. And you get people, what's he doing there? He's not even a proper right, but he's not even a right half. He's not this, he's not that next thing. And he did a really good job right through the 92-93 season. He started, first game I think was done at Stranraer, and he just emerged. They play, you know, when a couple of the boys emerged playing Marseille and all the rest of it, he suddenly actually these boys can play. And I always remember Neil Murray telling me he came off the pitch at Dundee United one night and thought, oh no, I'm going to get in this dressing room and I'm going to get absolutely mullered here. I'm going to get, you know, bounced off the walls because I don't think I've played well at all. And Archie Knox grabbed his head and screamed into his face, "You were effing brilliant." Why? Because if he was playing on the pitch, it basically stopped Alan McLaren. His name McLaren.
It was McLaren. Yeah.
Stopped him from either going, just playing in his normal game, and then he stopped him from coming inside as well, which meant he didn't really have much else to do, and you know. And again, it's wee things like that coaches see or managers see if they give somebody a particular role to play that the punters in the stand don't see. So you don't know what the manager's communication is to some of these players when they do get a chance.
No.
I would, you know, again, I don't think Clement's the sort of guy that will basically give you chapter and verse. I think he plays his cards close to his chest a lot of the time. But I would like to see some of these guys getting a quicker or earlier chance, if only to stop the speculation that they've only got one leg and can he see?
Agreed. we need to get that guy Doug used to the surroundings.
A good point there, actually.
I agree. And on that point, sure, actually, Conor Barron went straight in, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, you know,
and
it works.
And has grown into the job. Has grown into the role. There were some times when he made, you know, early on, he looked a bit. No, a bit of it. I wouldn't say shaky. I always think he's tentative, as if I'm just a new boy in this team. Should I be doing that?
Yeah.
That took him about 2-3 games to forget that. It's like I've got my foot in the ball. I'm dictating what we're going to be doing here, and that part of it is I think others would benefit from getting that opportunity or just getting that chance.
Yeah, absolutely, and we absolutely need to see more than that. Sure, we've had that invitation to cross over into, I guess, the spirit world from this guy. If you guys fancy a crossover to the Rangers Journal, give the Twitter a message. Mate, I fucking come off Twitter about 10 years ago, but I appreciate you thinking that I'm still on it. But aye, I don't know if I'm ready for death yet. Are you ready for death yet, Stuart? I don't think I'm ready.
I don't know. I did one program with Doris Stokes and it scared the shit out of me, so I'm not doing that again.
Aye, right. Anyway, so moving on then for the Dundee United game, seeing as Wasp is just leaving us to this podcast ourselves. Let's go into the club news.
It's getting dark.
It's pitch black out there. He's not even got a torch. If found, please return to fucking somewhere in Fife where he lives. So John Bennett, obviously, that's the big news, right? John Bennett steps down as CEO. And if that doesn't make you scared enough that he was CEO in the first place, Dave King comes in and uses what I like to call the dead cat strategy. I'm sure you'll be familiar with this, where he fucking throws a dead cat on the table, basically pretending that he's got a chance of getting back on the Rangers board to cover up for something. I don't know what. I'm guessing that John Gilligan is in charge of finding the new CEO. I mean, how much fear does that give you, Stuart?
Listen, you would always hope in any line of business or any environment that you would be working with best in class. You know that there's people out there that might have a bit of reputation, but you know they get the job done.
Yeah.
And that bit of it for a number of years I haven't really seen at Rangers. I think there's people with have the best intentions, but once they lift the bonnet and see what's under it, it's like, oh my God, you know. And then I also think there's been a number of people who've busied themselves doing too many things. And to that extent, it's like the philosophy of how the team plays, who the manager is that they're going to find, how they're going to fund the players, how they're going to scout the players, all of that, rather than having one particular role to focus on. For instance, if you're involved in marketing or sponsorship or whatever it is, I think one area where Rangers are being let down badly just now is if they are taking any advice in terms of PR, who's giving it to them? I think there are simpler messages to put out there than some of the, you're half expecting that they may appear in the National Institute's Christmas lectures of, sort of time. I was just sitting there with a quality sheet trying to understand what these people talk about. But I just think, I think my dealings with John Gilligan is that he's a guy who will get everybody pointing in the same direction, facing the same direction. The hymn sheet might be very, very simple. It might be down to the Bill Belichick philosophy of simply saying, do your job. And stop pointing at other people and say, oh, they're not doing this or they're not doing that. Just do what you're supposed to be doing. And I think a semblance of doing your business rather than suddenly turning into one for the youngsters, turning into Red Adair and firefighting every single day.
Yeah.
Because of the biggest problem I think Rangers have had, and feel free to contradict me, anyone, the biggest problem that Rangers have had is Wasp suddenly turning up the corner of your screen like something Doris Stokes has resurrected. No, I think the biggest thing now, keep it. This is my line now, right? I think the whole thing with this is that it's hard enough firefighting if you're not actually setting the fire yourself.
Aye, exactly that. Sorry, I was distracted there.
Do you want just or anything or
No,
a biscuit?
You do.
Night.
I'll have a
Night,
biscuit.
Marley, love you.
Oh, mate, I got a fright there. I was just like, ah!
Hiya. Oh, mate. I can't even remember what Stuart was saying there.
That was a Farley's Rusk advert coming in there. Right, listen, so what I was saying is like, it's hard enough to firefight,
Aye,
but they were actually firebombing themselves.
100%. And
You
you know,
know-
Stuart, I kind of touched on this on a previous pod where Rangers have been guilty of perpetual short-termism since about 2016, and now they've decided to go with a long view and give us time. Like, we've given you fucking 6 years, and then all of a sudden Dave King's back and everybody else. I mean, we're fucking going back to stage one. Do you know what I mean? And
But it's like getting a long view with your binoculars when you turn them around the road and go, wow, how far away is that? You know,
how small is the moon tonight?
About it has walk, you know, but it's like they've made simple things difficult for themselves.
Yes.
And I think we should hear from our Fife correspondent now.
I think we should.
Whoa.
What?
Cheers, darling. Honestly, man, what a day. Aye, what?
welcome, one. I'll tell you what. Give us a quick summary of your thoughts on John Bennett stepping down as CEO and John Gilligan being in charge of.
Wait a minute, as a blood transfusion just coming in for him.
It was, I know.
Definitely needs something, sure, eh?
I know he's been out saving lives, Stuart. That's where he's been.
That's I heard fighting fires. I think I do that every day. So aye.
Right. This is not about you showing off. Come on, give your opinion.
All right. Aye. What was it? What was the question? Sorry.
So obviously John Bennett stepped down as
up.
CEO. Aye, and then John Gilligan's finding a new one. Discuss.
Aye. John Bennett. Hope it's a speedy recovery. Like I think.
Aye.
Health comes first. Doesn't matter what's happened the last couple of months, years, whatever. Health comes first. So, John Gilligan, good guy. Met him a few times. He's staunch as anything. Like so, hopefully he boots a few arses and gets things sorted. Have we touched on Dave King? Aye.
Aye.
Well, we can have skipped round the outside, round the perimeter fence. We haven't quite get through the gate yet, if you know what I mean.
All right.
Do you know what a dead cat strategy is?
Was it something like, is it not like baiting somebody or something, catfishing and all that? Like shite. No? Oh, well,
no, it's where you chuck something into view to hide shit that's happening in the background that's really bad. You didn't want folk to see it, but it's like a distraction technique, right? And I was mentioning Dave King in that same sentence.
Right. Aye. Probably. You're probably right, mate. I thought there was something happening behind me there. I was like, fuck's sake.
Do you want to go and come back in?
I'll come back in. Yeah, we'll reconvene the Bora boys.
Right.
I think there is good guys on the board and that, and they've put a lot of money into Rangers. I just feel like it gets to a point where you're like, right, how much do we need to put in that's getting mismanaged? I think that's the big thing. The boy on the board, George Leffam, he's a great guy, and he's got Rangers at his heart, and he's a good guy. But I don't know. It's just like you said, mate. Like we just seem to be going backwards when we should be forwards. It just goes back to like that 55. That should have been the launch pad for everything. Rangers getting better. Like we're already doing well in Europe, and it's just like we've went like so backwards. It's unreal, man. And it's like it's quite worrying actually when the more you look into it. But that's what I think.
It feels a lot like a devolution in a sense, because I was thinking as you were talking there, I was thinking like there's enough guys in this board who are in successful enough businesses to understand what corporate governance means and due diligence means and those kinds of things. And these are sort of things that we've been discussing repeatedly over the past few months with some of the failures that have happened. But at the same time, you've got to look at the club externally as an attractive investment potential. And you look at the failures that we've had, and also the recently published accounts where there's quite a lot of money missing. Then what? Where is the attraction? All of a sudden, it's a bit of a calamity, and that's a huge worry for me going forward, particularly around things like the academy structure and things like that. These are things that we've prided ourselves on for a long, long time, and have been the kind of forefront of Scottish elite football. And now it's just a bit of a shambles. You know, we can't even find an academy director, and you know, simple things like that. It's hard to see a way out.
It is, mate, and I wonder if that's kind of put off, like, you know, potential people coming in, and it's kind of kept to this exclusive boys club. And I'm no meaning that as like a bad way. It's just like these guys, obviously, like you said, successful businessmen in their own field. But is there anybody like who's got a track record of running a football club, or, you know, and the academy's been mismanaged. Well, mismanaged is probably a harsh word. I think it's no produced. All right, okay, but it's probably it's no produced. Like off the top of my head, I'm trying to think maybe Nathan Patterson, maybe the last one that. But even then, did he take Tav's place? No, I think they were kind of utilising him to be the next Tav replacement. But you know, you can go far back, like maybe Chris Burke, Alan Hutton, and that's a long time. That's almost like 20 years ago. It's scary.
20 years ago. That's 20 years ago.
Exactly that.
See,
it's crazy.
The point, just to pick up on your point there, and I think it's hugely valid, that there are so many key positions there that are, you know, not filled, that don't have anybody doing it. And I mentioned myself, you know, simple philosophy, do your job. But it's very difficult to do your job when there's a component parts of what you need to do your job. There's a void there. You know, you're looking for somebody to feed into this, or, you know, so you're looking for an academy structure that would feed into the coaching, would feed into the first team. You're looking for the financials. You're looking for somebody there that's coming up with a strategic plan to actually bring funds in. Now, again, is that dependent on selling people at the academy? But you can't sell people at the academy if you're not bringing anybody into the academy, if you've not get people identifying talent. And it's there's a complete breakdown here. Yeah. It's like knowing what the plans look like, and then putting the lights out and just picking random things out of a box and trying to stick them together. It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. Sure, and you know, I was just thinking there about a time when I used to work for an energy company, right? And basically, my role at this energy company was IT governance, right? And there was restructures every 6 months, and when restructures happened, people around me disappeared, and then suddenly I was in charge of their work, right? To the point where I was actually in charge of paying some developers' wages at some point, and I'm like, how is that IT governance? And I think, you know, when these sorts of things happen, you know, people put more reliance on people who potentially don't have the skills or, you know, experience in those roles to complete those roles, and that eventually leads to burnout, which could be potentially what's happened to John Bennett in this, you know, in this particular case. And it wouldn't surprise me if that wasn't the case.
I think it is, mate. I think it is. I think you're spot on there.
So it's a massive concern, and you know, if we didn't shore that up soon, you know, it's only going to result in poor performance for the club again. And you know, again, we go back to that cycle of, is it an attractive investment for somebody? Well, no. And see, to be fair, you could have all the money in the world, but if you take the structure away, then it's a fucking, you know, it's a fucking melted jelly, is what it is.
Melted
jelly.
I was very very privileged to get close to Liverpool for a period of time, and so how they worked, the actual club, and how they worked on a certain in certain things, and it wasn't the level of thoroughness; it was the levels of reliability that they could take decisions because they knew the people that were behind them or were being tasked with certain things to do were capable. And you just don't get that feeling at Rangers.
No, you don't. But you know, where do we go from here? Do you know what I mean? It's like, is a new CEO gonna fix everything? I mean, who can we actually get in? Who's going to make a difference? That's the thing, you know. Who's out there?
Well, so it's the whole philosophy of speculating to accumulate. If you go and buy a spanner kit from the middle aisle at Aldi or Lidl or wherever it is.
All done it. We've all done it.
Exactly. and unless you've got a wide and varied range of snap-on tools like I do, because you know that they're never going to let you down, right? But that's the thing. If you look at where Rangers are trying to shop to bring certain people in, there is nobody, and that's I would say that's a good judge or a good gauge again. If you've got somebody you think is doing a good job at, for argument's sake, Aberdeen or St Mirren or Motherwell or wherever it is, if they were doing such a good job, they wouldn't have been Scottish football.
No, correct.
And this is it, Stuart. I think Rangers, the last probably decade, they've tried to copy a lot of models that already exist. Or we're going to go down the Ajax model, or we're going to try and go down the Liverpool model, and it's just like, right, no, guys, let's just all get a roadmap, right? What do we want to do, right? We need to start breeding in free academy players each season, no like full first team academy players, but we need to start making a turnover there, and they've just not done it. It seems like, this is not working. The fans are getting on a case. Fuck it, Dynamo Zagreb's the next model. It looks good. Oh shit, they got hammered off by Bayern Munich. Fuck that. And it's just constant. It's so frustrating, man. That Rangers are like, this season's just been a calamity. It's just got worse and worse, and it just makes us look like a joke even more, which then who would in their right mind want to come into this, right? You can have like passionate fan base, which is an asset. You've got an amazing UEFA tier stadium, another asset. We've got a manager who's got a bit of something about him, but it's not got the assets on the park just now anyway. That only get you so far. You need to have good infrastructure in the background, or like infrastructure that needs improved, be it books, be it like the ticket office is a joke. Just simple things around the places. It's getting laughable, and you know, it's like, even if you got somebody that came in, it's got a good track record, and they're like, oh, this is my forte, turning businesses around or clubs or blah. It's a big project in itself. It's probably as big as the project on the park, in my opinion.
I would liken it to Formula One, where you've got a driver who's won a couple of world titles, goes to a team, and people go, how can you drive that car to a world title? Because it doesn't have the aero package, it doesn't have the engine, it doesn't have the telemetry, it doesn't have the electronic gizmos, it doesn't have any of the things that I had at that team. Put me back in that car and I'll show you how fast I can make it go. This one is just, it's been built out of parts from McShane's of Newmains. You're sticking bits and pieces together just to try and make it go out, get you to the shops, where actually you want to go beyond the shops. I know Wasp probably walked further. You walk further than that tonight, but you're looking to actually take you a bit further in your journey, and it just isn't happening.
It's a wee bogey. We've got a wee bogey.
It's got a beautiful exterior, but as soon as you lift it up, it's like the Flintstones underneath. You know what I mean?
I could tell you a story about a wee bogey and what it turned out to be. I might tell you off air, right?
All right.
You would
sounds filthy.
Seriously. No. You'll be left aghast, right?
Right.
I guess. Oh,
okay. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll finish with the Rangers board and the Rangers mess right now, and let's move into happier times, right? Because we've got a game coming up at Ibrox Stadium on the 21st, the Viaplay Cup versus Dundee. It's a 5:30 kickoff, and it'll be live on Premier Sports, which I would like to add does not have a fucking iOS app yet. Why? If you're wanting £9 a month off me, I at least want a fucking app. You know what I'm saying? Anyway.
Because it's been designed by Rangers.
Didn't Satanta Sports loyal. So Dundee have had a recent interesting run of form. Actually, they lost to Ross County, which is promising for us. That was their last game, and then they had 2 draws prior to that versus Hibs and St Mirren, respectively. Seems like a good opportunity back at home. Give somebody an absolute smashing. Wasp, what's your predictions?
Smashing indeed, Snags. Like fucking, they've burst our bubble pretty quick. There might be this ball playing football team, and then they go to Ross County, who are up and down, and they get battered. So this is the thing with the Scottish Prem. Apart from us and the other mob, nobody's consistent enough. Just look at Hearts. They were probably the consistent team. To be fair, Aberdeen have started off really well, but they just seem to get a bit of hype about them. They lose their captain, and then they just. So I would expect us back at Ibrox. Crowd will be up for it. Back home. Let's do them next round.
Score
3-0. Igamari scores. It's got to be a decent performance. Everybody's got to be on it, and it's got to take a while to get that second goal. But then we'll just cut them open. I can see it, mate.
You've got Dundee United hubris, mate. I love it.
Come on.
Do you know what was it you were saying there? I forgot now.
Battering Dundee.
Something about a battering. I forgot. In fact, I've completely forgot where my mind was going there. I can't even speak. Stuart, you prediction, please.
I'll take another 1-0. I'm quite fond of them in old age. I think what you'd like to see is Rangers players look as if they want to be back at Ibrox.
Aye,
and putting
100%.
a performance on, that you've got fans on top of you rather than 150 yards away from you. And that you can't make excuses. This is not your stadium. We're not used to it and all the rest of it. No, you're back there with the picture of the king on the wall. You're getting back out there to do battle with somebody. Now go and do it, and do it well. And just don't come in with your tail between your legs. If you only win 1-0, fine. Take it, move on. But if you score 2-3 or better, then that's even that will set you up even more for the next games coming around, and there's a lot of games coming around.
Totally. We want to get to Ibrox because Tav can hear, for fuck's sake, Tav, rather than for fuck's sake, Tav. Tav will love that back at Ibrox. Oh, fuck's sake.
He will. And I've just remembered what I was going to say, by the way, was that Dundee beat Hearts in their opening fixture as well.
Right,
so
obviously
they lost
against Hearts.
But they lost their star player to Celtic, didn't they? So I think that's probably had a massive impact.
It's our captain, mate. Luke McGowan.
I still refer to Dundee as Club 12, going back to the 2013 season. And I also want to know why they never brought in the Greyhounds again. Remember, they were going to put a Greyhound track and get them to run around square corners. That's left me. I've never, 1 minute they're trying to sign Edgar Davids, the next time they're trying to run Greyhounds. They've let me down throughout my life. So that's one of the reasons I don't rate them very highly.
No, maybe that's what the big delay's been at Ibrox. They've built a Greyhound track just for you, shit.
Just sitting there with all his scoops. Come on!
Chase that
it's multi-purpose. You can also run speedway on it. So get it up here. That's twice the earning capacity than just having a dog track, see?
No, mate, that's down the road at Cowdy Beef, sure, eh?
Aye.
Whereabouts are you in Fife?
Undisclosed location until off of the air.
along with Mammy Bogey.
That big dug off over the water, that's where he is. Right, so I'll go for I don't know, 5-0. 5-0 to Rangers, clean sheet. Everybody scores, but obviously a few disallowed. What?
You can tell that man's in love.
Stop it! I'm glowing, beaming.
We're not supposed to know geographical locations, what the wee bogey contains, or people's love life, right? So just leave it at that, right?
Exactly. It's a data protection in action right here.
It's a data protection that he's kind of put under his name, but okay, whatever. We move on.
just set the alarm.
That's it. The fucking firewalls are going off. Anyway, I think I think we'll fucking close it after. Has anybody got any shout outs that they would like to give? I've already given one to Stephen and Maggie Wasp, but you're welcome to.
Oh,
They are
nice.
watching tonight.
Aye, I love Stephen and Maggie. That's good news. So glad they're back watching the pod, supporting us as always. So it's good to hear them back. And I want to give a shout out to my friend Kerr Hunter, who is a top boy for Irvine, but he lives in sunnier climates these days. He lives in Sydney, Australia. He's got 1 week until he retires. And what a guy, man. An absolute gentleman. I can't praise this guy. What a top guy he is. I've kept him 11 years, man. He's a great blue nosy. So happy retirement, Kerr. Top lad, mate. And hopefully one day I'll get on that beach and see you, mate. But I'm skint these days, so probably no. Unless Snags pays. Cyber money.
Hey, less of that, you fucking skin my ass. You've looked half sure. That's fucking cheek, Stuart. Tell him.
I'm suddenly seeing one.
Allegedly.
Aye, suddenly like Ursula undressed walking out the sea up the beach. I've suddenly seen him the same. I mean, that kind of vision of him suddenly turning up in Sydney.
And then he's retiring. He's moving back to Cowden Beef, Wasp. Is that what you're telling us there?
I do live in Cowden Beef.
Aye, all right.
There's a social climate. He must live in Lochgelly.
No, he's getting closer, Snags. Tell him to stop.
I know, stop, Stuart. Stop right there. You get us in trouble. Right. I guess we'll just fucking close it after because I've had enough. Have you had enough? Good. Right. So I've been Snags. He's been, oh my God. He's been Wasp, who joined us for 10 minutes. And thanks again to Stuart Weir for co-hosting with me.
Yes.
We're all going out for a big walk. We've been the Rangers Air podcast. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.